Since last year, Konami has really been waking up. They produced a lot more Metal Gear projects like the Master Collection and of course the recently released Delta Snake Eater, and they have a lot more ambitions and projects on the way. So let's look at what's upcoming for the Metal Gear franchise from Konami and even beyond that. So first of course we have the recently released Snake Eater Delta remake, and we are anticipating it Fox Hunt mode, which will be a free multiplayer DLC called Fox Hunt mode, which features cat and mouse style gameplay, which is a kind of hide and seek style of gameplay, and features 12 players set in the jungle, utilizing all the tactical mechanical features that was in the Delta Snake Eater remake. And again, this is a free update arriving on October 30th. What also has been speculated is the Switch 2 release of Snake Eater Delta remake. It's likely going to come down to if their version of the game can get a lot more well optimized and scalability is strong. A slightly stripped down version might be a viable thing to put on the Switch 2. It's also likely that the Fox Hunt mode will also come to this version, but things like dynamic lighting, motion blur and ray tracing may be toned down. So now let's move on to, of course, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, which we did get an update to at the Tokyo Game Shows, reported by VGC. According to VGC, Metal Gear Solid series producer Noriaki Okamura confirmed that work on Master Collection Volume 2 is continuing and promising to be worth the wait. It has certainly taken quite a while now, Okamura said, since we called the first installment Volume 1. It's only natural to expect a second one, and that's what we said years ago. But as we've repeated several times, we are making it. We've been working on it properly while also producing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. When the time is right, we'd like to share with you all news on not only its progress but also direction going forward. He also says, "I'm sorry it feels like I always have to say this, but please wait just a little longer." How long a little longer actually means, it's hard to say, but the project is moving forward properly and we believe it's shaping up to be something really enjoyable. And hopefully Volume 2 does contain Peace Walker, Portable Ops and of course Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot. There's also the potential to add Metal Gear Acid, Metal Gear Rising and also the Twin Snakes. And also of course including Metal Gear Solid 5 with Ground Zeroes just to round off the package, and then likely not needing a Master Collection Volume 3. Now they could split some of these into a Volume 3, but of course nothing has been confirmed and we'll have to wait and find out. But just staying on Metal Gear Solid 4, this is definitely the biggest game that everybody wants to be accessible on every platform. Even to this day, it's only playable on the PlayStation 3, so bringing it into the Master Collection Volume 2 would be a huge deal. It's also the trickiest game to bring over since this game relies on the CPU of the PlayStation 3 and that whole cell architecture, so it's likely this game had to be reworked from the ground up. But there are also rumors that Sony behind the scenes are also working on a PS3 emulator which may be ready for the PlayStation 6 and likely be something a part of their PlayStation Plus plans, and even allow us to buy standalone PlayStation 3 titles off the PS Store in the future would be a huge deal. So it seems that upcoming there are two ways that we could possibly get our hands on Metal Gear Solid 4, most likely with the Master Collection Volume 2, but on another hand, if by the PlayStation 6 generation we could have a PS3 emulator ready for that platform. So I would say within the next 3 to 5 years, we're definitely going to be getting Metal Gear Solid 4 on at least our newer PlayStation consoles. But let's talk about the next major title within the Metal Gear Solid franchise, which will be Metal Gear Solid 1 Remake, which is reportedly or rumored to be in production and development over at Konami. It will of course be the most ambitious remake project they'll ever tackle, and Okamura himself said that personally, and this is just fantasy with no promises, what I'd want to do is Metal Gear Solid 1. I'd like to see it, though the difficulty would be maximum. It does show that there is huge internal ambition, and it seems like in the timeline of Metal Gear Solid 1 does come after Metal Gear Solid 3. And there's a reason why they made Delta Snake Eater 3 first, it's because they're likely going in chronological order. So for the Metal Gear Solid 1, because it's such an ambitious title, there will be a lot of changes within the remake, like reconstructing fixed camera angles, and tank control gameplay will likely be changed and then given an option like Delta Delta Snake Eater, where you can play on a legacy mode and have that kind of legacy experience. And they'll also of course preserve the iconic moments like the elevator fights, codec conversations, sneaking through vents, upgrading the environmental geometry, destructible cover and ambient AI noise systems, and likely will reimagine the iconic boss fights from Psycho Mantis and Sniper Wolf with new mechanics, maybe bullet time and dynamic cover. But also they can embed story threads that lead into perhaps, future games like a Metal Gear Solid 6 and more in these Delta remakes. But it seems as of right now we are a while away from this type of remake. But looking at the technology they use for the Snake Eater remake, we know they're likely going to be using Unreal Engine 5, so they've got that nanite geometry, looming global illumination for real-time light fidelity and world partition allowing massive levels, procedural generation support for side environments or infiltration branches, and scalability that can bring the same title to both high-end and mid-tier hardware. As we get even more advanced with AI, we're going to be getting AI advancements within these types of games, where we can get enemies that communicate, share intel and issue alerts across zones, patrol that shift schedules or behave non-deterministically, and NPC observers that remember you across missions. It really does depend how far out Metal Gear Solid 1 Remake is, but it is very likely that it is coming, and coming soon. And a Metal Gear game that is much further in the future is of course Metal Gear Solid 6, and with all these Delta remakes and the Master Collection, it's obvious that Konami do want to revitalize the Metal Gear franchise, so eventually we will be getting a Metal Gear Solid 6. Whether it is a post Metal Gear Solid 4, which is a world rebuilding after war, another prequel exploring Boss's earlier missions and building his legacy, or perhaps follows a brand new protagonist. And with Metal Gear Solid 5 we got an open world experience, so maybe we can also get an even more ambitious open world utilizing adaptive AI, where guards are not just tracing patterns but learning from multiple missions and adapting in new ones, which was very similar to what we did see in Metal Gear Solid 5. We can get persistent world states where consequences in one mission bleed into the next, which also is very similar to what we did see in Metal Gear Solid 5 too. This is a game that will likely come for the PlayStation 6 era, but likely in the middle of that era. And without Kojima, they definitely need someone else who can spearhead the franchise moving forward, whether that is Okamura, or someone else with past experience, or even potentially rectify the relationship with Kojima and have him work as a producer, because I think he's way too busy to even ever create a Metal Gear Solid 6, especially with his competitor that he is developing. I personally think it should go into new hands. It only makes sense. So let me know who in Konami right now deserves a shot to spearhead the franchise moving forward. Let me know in the comment section below. But there are a lot of Metal Gear Solid successors beyond Konami which are pushing stealth and espionage ahead. We just had Kojima's Death Stranding 2, which was heavily influenced by so many aspects of Metal Gear Solid and really felt like Metal Gear Solid in so many ways, especially in its amazing combat. But Kojima is of course working on PHYSINT, which he says will likely arrive within the next 5 years, and this is the true spiritual successor of Metal Gear Solid, and we even have some concept work off the cover of the game. This will be a new espionage action hybrid backed by Sony Pictures and Columbia, and of course, like all Kojima games, it's going to try and blur the lines even more between gaming and movies. The goal is to create a cinematic game with film level fidelity, interactive story and real-time decisions. For all those who want a Metal Gear Solid 6, this is going to likely be the closest thing we get in the near future to that. And just seeing some of the graphics he showcased for his new game OD, which is his spiritual successor to PT, the graphic fidelity and the realism is going to be absolutely insane, even looking at Death Stranding 2, which was just mind-blowing. Now it also seems that Kojima is using Unreal Engine for OD, so we'll likely use this maybe for PHYSINT 2. But I'm not going to spoil Death Stranding 2, but it seems it does set up a potential Death Stranding 3/Death Stranding spin-off, which will likely be even more combat focused and evolve that combat style a lot more. But with Kojima working on PHYSINT OD, it's likely that he won't be the main producer on Death Stranding 3 if it does come into fruition, which I really do think it will happen. Death Stranding 2 was a lot more combat focused compared to the first Death Stranding. Hopefully once again using the Decima engine, Kojima Productions can produce a Death Stranding 3 and once again evolve the stealth espionage genre even more. Then we have the developer Motion Blur, who is creating an action-packed third-person shooter with stunning visuals and high performance, which reminds me a lot, of course, of Metal Gear Solid. Seems like in this game we're going to be traveling through portals to rescue, recover intel, and uncover the truth. The developers state that survival in the Black State depends on how well you wield your weapons and gadgets. Pistols and rifles keep you steady, while a shotgun tears enemies apart at close range in a single blast. The fusion gun, handle with care. Its sheer power paints the walls with blood, and you haven't seen everything yet. And then from EVR Studios, we have Mudang Two Hearts, formerly known as Project TH, which takes place in a unified Korea where mass terrorists strike at the heart of Seoul. Ji Jeong-tae, a soldier sent in to stop the attack, stumbles upon a K-pop star named Gavi at the center of the unfolding crisis. As their stories intertwine, a chilling truth begins to take shape, and this is actually coming next year in 2026. Developers also state that this is an immersive blend of tactical stealth, visceral combat, and cinematic storytelling set on a politically volatile Korean peninsula. The game also features actors from Squid Game and looks absolutely incredible. And of course, from Ubisoft, they are also working on a Splinter Cell remake and will likely reboot their series and hopefully create more games in the Splinter Cell series moving forward. They're also working on a Ghost Recon known as Project Over, which we will talk about more on this channel. So guys, let me know what you think about the future of the Metal Gear Solid franchise and beyond Metal Gear. I hope you really have enjoyed this video. And guys, I wanted to announce the Witch Hunt collection, which is going to be the first collection that will be available on the Balboa Club store when it launches. This specific collection is inspired by the Witcher series and the dark fantasy genre. This is a brand that I've really wanted to make for a long time. I didn't just want to make merch, but I wanted to make something special, something that mixes the really cool designs of the wrestling world with the things that we love the most, video games. And of course, the first design had to be inspired by my favorite game of all time, The Witcher 3. So this is something special that I've created for you. I want you to join the club, and I will announce when the store is about to launch through this channel. Now we're even going to TikTok and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and join the Balboa Club today. Bye bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.